The closing volume of the Mistborn Trilogy, The Hero of Ages, embarks on the difficult task of tying all the loose ends of the narrative while significantly raising the stakes to unprecedented heights. The band of thieves, now responsible for guaranteeing a bright future for humankind, face threats that strike physically and psychologically, which causes, yet again, great character development and tension throughout the entirety of the book. The final Empire and the Well of Ascension uncovered the truth of the mysteries behind various portentous events that propelled the plot forward, but to every answer received another question came to the surface. Through the journal entries that precede each chapter, commonplace since the first entry of the trilogy, Brandon Sanderson successfully threads the thin line of the heavy usage of explanatory expositions to create an airtight plot. Though they are now significantly longer, the format employed to disclose revelations and plot twists follow their predecessors faithfully. It is one of the cases in which the destination is already set in stone or metal, so the true enigma lies in the path the characters will take to reach what is, in a fashion, a foreordained ending. As always, however, plentiful moments come, nuanced and seemingly out of nowhere, and cleverly subvert expectations, either raising the stakes or masterfully closing a plotline. Though I confess to having deduced the major plot twist of the story simply by realizing who composed the chapter entries, and that stole a portion of the awe and slack-jawed surprise that such a great ending to a spectacular story could have provoked me. As I said before, in the final Empire and the Well of Ascension, significant development of the main cast took place, but some characters still ended up receiving less attention than others. Spook is a prominent instance. The torment and guilt, birthed by his sentiment of inferiority and regret, have been constantly driving him forward ever since the beginning of the story. But until now, nothing significantly urgent ever falls into his hands with great enough weight to cause the anticipated psychological growth. So when his moment to shine finally comes, it makes for one of the most engaging, charming, and critical aspects to the plot of The Hero of Ages. Because even while remaining relatively detached from the main events of the story, the development of his character plays a crucial role in the outcome of the final confrontation. Needless to say, I'm thoroughly satisfied by the expressive and compelling character arc he underwent. The world is in ruin with the fall of the final Empire and the consequences of the Well of Ascension, and every member of the crew has their hands full of problems needing an immediate solution. In other words, the story rarely slows down, and the ever-increasing amount of tension and conflict imprisons the reader in a cycle of immersion and engagement that never drops in quality along the way. Admittedly, some plotlines, such as the siege of the final storage facility, took an unreasonable amount of time to reach their climax, and the indecision and inaction felt out of place, due to previous character growth that should have addressed the moral dilemma holding Elen back. Given the urgency of the whole situation, it reached dangerously close to becoming contrived. Fortunately, enough little payoffs, character development, and surprises provided a needed balance to the amount of buildup and their respective rewarding conclusions. Vin and Elen's story was tragic, emotional, delicate, and memorable, but there is one who once again shone brighter. Sazed and his tendency to steal all the limelight for himself does it once more, and I'm not even surprised this time, he deserved it. The inner unrest and despair that threatens to extinguish his faith, and the subsequent conclusion to his uncertainty is by far the most important and riveting story arc of all characters in this trilogy. I smiled in satisfaction at just how well thought out and unique the role his knowledge of religion played in the climax of the book. It was a pleasure to accompany him on his journey, and to me, none was worthier than himself to bear such tremendous honor and burden. The Mistborn Trilogy was my starting point into the vastness of the cosmere, and though I've heard great things about the quality of Sanderson's stories, my expectations were still significantly surpassed. Though the world-building left some to be desired, the dire circumstances of the apocalyptic environment considerably restrict the variety of the fauna and flora, providing an understandable explanation. The magic system is amazingly fun to read, and the hardness of it brings to evidence the ability of the writer, as there is little space for unexplainable power-ups miraculously popping into existence to save the day. The characters are compelling and memorable, with story arcs that are relatable and thought-provoking. Furthermore, I finally feel that I've learned my lesson. There are always surprisingly nuanced twists and turns that are guaranteed to astonish and make putting the book down an exceedingly difficult task. Now that I've entered into cosmere territories and been received with such quality of storytelling, I don't see myself ever leaving it. Needless to say, I'm now a fan of Sanderson's works and will check out all his other books.